Hey guys, Sirko over here. This is a video response to Infinite Hope, and his video is about 14 minutes long, so in order to get this into one video, which I'd really like to do, I'm going to have to cut a lot of what he says out. I'm not going to be able to get to everything, but I want to put clips in here so that it can sort of speak for itself a little bit. I'm just going to do this once, though. This is not part of the debate. This is not going to be a debate. I thought it deserved a response. I'm willing to give a response, but this is not a debate. So let's hear what he has to say.
This is a response to the great debate, I hope, by YouTuber Skykara. And I know I mispronounced that horribly. Feel free to mispronounce Infinite Hope all you want. Now, what I want to say is I'm not going to actually debate you. I'm going to help those that want to debate you to do better.
It really doesn't work that way. What you're doing is debating, is arguing. I mean, you want to come in and you want to criticize my viewpoints. That's fine. But don't debate me and then say you're not debating me as if, you know, like, oh, I don't want to actually have to defend my position in any kind of give and take, but let me just give my opinion, and then we'll just call it over once I've had my say. That's not how this works. Sorry. So, anyway, moving on.
The first question is, he wants a definition of God. He says he can't believe in God because he doesn't have an accurate definition. But I think that that's incorrect. Philosophers and theologians have give very robust definitions of God. But he outlines you cannot use this, this, and this to describe God. Why not? Why are we not allowed to use certain terms to help describe God? You wanted a definition. Why are we now not allowed to use words that might help us give you a definition?
This is not about what you're allowed to use. You're allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed, for example, not to make any sense at all if you don't wish to. Here's the problem. The definitions that are offered of God are ontologically incoherent. This is not something I'm making up. This is not my opinion. I mean, not really, anyway. There is such a thing as ontology. You know, there are much better videos that discuss this by 8-Foot Manchild, Prof. MTH. The best ones I can think of are by those two, and I will link those in the bottom bar. But this problem that I'm talking about is not something I made up, and it's not the reason that I said I never said you weren't allowed to use those certain things to describe God. What I'm saying is those things do not unto themselves constitute a definition. And it is true that if you try to describe a human being the same way without pointing out that they are a human being, you would not have described anything. Now, when I say that I'm a human being, that we all have a very clear idea of what that means. There's a vast amount of physical information already stored in our brain about what a human being is, about what they're made of and what they do and what they smell like, all sorts of, so when I say so-and-so is a human being, I'm actually telling you I'm telling you a lot about them just by saying that. Whereas when you say that something is a god, that tells me nothing, because we don't know what a god is. We don't know what gods are made of. We don't know what gods are supposed to do. We don't know why gods do what they do. We don't know where gods come from. And I'd like to point out that if you would simply look at the second video in my series, or my response to Rational Roundtable, he gives a definition, and I accept it enthusiastically.
Then you shouldn't believe in anything at all, especially not yourself. If I asked you to define yourself, how would you do it? But wait, you can't define yourself by describing how you look, or how you act, or what you do. Now, describe yourself to me.
I'm a human being. I was born of a female human being who conceived me with the assistance of a male human being from a previous generation. I was born in Karlsruhe, West Germany. I am composed mostly of water. I'm also composed largely of carbons and hydrocarbon molecules. I consume plant matter and animal flesh, carbon-based life form, in order to perpetuate my existence. My goals and my ambitions are consistent with those revealed by the study of sociological scientists Piaget, Vygotsky, all sorts of research. I mean, anything you want to know about me, most of it you can find by looking in the dictionary under human being. See, human beings are something we know quite a lot about. They're not some concept that I made up. They're not some, what I'm made of is matter. It is physical. It is distinctly the opposite of something that I chose to define by simply saying it's not part of the realm of everything else.
So I think that this is a I need a definition tactic that I have seen in other debates. And the whole debate then becomes about defining God and then them just blowing your definition out of the water anyways. So what's the point? We know where you're coming from, right?
Again, watch my response to Rational Roundtable. I accepted his definition quickly and enthusiastically, and I have no intention of quibbling with it. I told him at first that I wasn't going to hold him to it, but if you look at the annotations, I've changed my mind about that, but I've not changed my mind about accepting it. It's a great definition. It's very workable. It's perfect. As far as I'm concerned, I'll leave it to other atheists whether they feel that it satisfies the coherency problem, which is a major problem with theistic gods that has never been resolved before. So, I'm not going to presume that Rational Roundtable and I, in essentially half an hour of video, have resolved a question that has plagued theologians for generations. So, but it satisfies me. So clearly, I'm not playing a game here. I mean, that's the very first response I get. The very first response satisfied me on this point. So it's very hard to claim that I'm doing something sneaky here.
Now, he's presenting himself, look, I'm open-minded, but I know he's not because I've seen his other videos. Maybe he is open-minded, but I think that he's open-minded only if certain things are fulfilled.
Yeah, those certain things are called evidence. If I told you that your brother was planning to kill you, would it be open-minded of you to just assume I'm telling you the truth without me giving you any evidence? I would hope not. I wouldn't consider that open-minded. I would consider that ridiculously uncritical. I hear you want to tell me that some undefined, non-physical being, and of course I'm responding to what I can only assume is your position, not the position that Rational Roundtable and I are debating about. Yeah, I'm gonna need some evidence. That's quite an astounding claim. It's a claim that exists outside of all the claims that I can immediately accept based on my observations. So yeah, I'm gonna need some evidence. I would hope that what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna link to another video in the bottom bar. Actually, I'm going to link these videos and annotations, all of them. Qualia Soup's video on open-mindedness. That's one you need to watch, really and truly. He says it way better than I could.
That leads straight into his second question, where we see what it is that must be fulfilled in order for him to agree with you. He talks about a machine that when you open it, it would just show you what had made the universe. What would it look like? What would God look like? In other words,
Okay, I'm skipping a lot of your video here because from this point on, you're just making a lot of incorrect assumptions about what I was trying to get at with that example. It wasn't even an example. It was a thought experiment. And listen to me very carefully. The purpose of the thought experiment had nothing to do with what it would take to convince me at all. The entire purpose of the thought experiment was to assist people in considering the question of what sorts of primal causes would or would not constitute God. It was purely a tool to assist people in answering my previous question. It was not a rhetorical point. It was not an argument. It was not an analogy. It was not an example. It was just a thought experiment specifically to assist people answer my first question. It was just a rewording of the concept so that people would understand exactly what I meant by my first question and would be able to answer it easily. The question you were supposed to ask yourself before you look inside the machine, assume that you're about to look inside the machine but you haven't yet. Think to yourself, of all the different possible things I might conceivably see in there, what sorts of characteristics would it have to have for me to consider it a God? It was just a tool to help you answer my first question. That's all.